Welcome to A Canadian Investing in the U.S., a podcast and YouTube channel focused on Canadians buying real estate with host Glenn Sutherland.
Welcome to a new episode of A Canadian Investing in the U.S. with Glenn Sutherland. This week, this is my triple repeat guest, Shawn. Met Shawn a long time ago back when he was living in Canada. He was on episode 52. He was on episode 145. And honestly, I just wanted to catch up. Last episode let's introduce people, and then we'll start from where we were left off last time. But Shawn, you want to introduce everyone to you first?
Yeah, sure. So we were just chatting before this, and I can't believe it's been 5 years since I was on the last podcast. So quick short story about myself. I am Canadian. I was born and raised in Canada. I became a real estate investor in my mid to late 20s in Canada. Built a decent sized portfolio into my 30s. I retired in my 30s off of real estate in Canada, and I basically started investing internationally into a country called Belize, which is kind of like Central America, but also Caribbean. So below Mexico, beside Guatemala, and there's a couple little islands there. So in 2019, I started investing there, and in end of COVID 2020, I moved to Belize, and I've basically been living there semi-permanently, up until recently, and I am back in Canada at the moment. I just actually came back like a few weeks ago, so I think it's only been 2 weeks that I've been back in Canada for like several years. So yeah, so and then now 5 years has passed since I started investing in Belize. When I last talked to you, I think I'd like just made one of my first purchases, and I've been investing in Belize that whole time.
Yeah. No, I went and read the transcript right before this, just so I was, caught up from what we were talking about before. And where we were last time is you bought a whole bunch of lots down along the water, I believe, and then that's where we were. You'd bought those. I think you were debating whether you're going to resell them or you're going to develop some Airbnbs, and that's I think where we kind of left off. So maybe let's just continue the story. What happened since then?
Okay, so
I know it's a long time ago, but
yeah, no, like I did a whole bunch of stuff from there. That was my initial like investment, right? So I went in and I bought a bunch of different pieces of land in a place called San Pedro, Belize. And these were like single parcels of land. So, something that's like 50 feet wide by 75 feet deep, or 50 wide by 100 deep, like a standard size lot that you can buy in Belize. They're all freehold title, fee simple title. So when you buy it, it's the same as if you were buying something in Canada. And it's very easy to purchase there. So I ended up buying maybe like in 2020, I bought maybe like 15 pieces of land. And then I actually ended up like going to Belize and staying in Belize. And I did double down while I was there. And I ended up buying a lot more, maybe like double or triple of what I had originally purchased. And that was my strategy, was buying just like a single piece of land. And my goal was to try and flip it or maybe build on it, maybe land bank it and sell it later. And so fast forward 5 years later, I still own 90% of that land. And it's because I've chosen not to sell it. So I have sold maybe like 15%. So let's say maybe like between 5 and 10 pieces of land I've sold, and the rest I've held on to and I still do own. The land that we did sell, we've profited greatly. Like we were buying these lots at maybe $15,000.
Yeah.
And we started exiting in the between 50 and 75,000 US range.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and so we're still doing really good. There is still appreciation. All of the lots that we have are continuing to go up in value, but we don't see the need to sell them right now because I do believe that they will be worth even more in the next 5-10 years. So we're still holding on to those. Then I switched over to a different strategy, was actually buying condos, because I wanted to get into Airbnb. That was one of the things that I mentioned 5 years ago. And so I ended up buying condos, and I think at the highest point over the last 5 years, I think I had 5 different condos in different resorts and communities. And I realized that play wasn't as profitable as the land. So the land was good, but it's slow, right? So it's like it's a slow appreciation, a slow equity increase with the land. With the condos, you really have to buy like really good to make money. So we did do good on some condos, and it was because I got them like I negotiated a really good price. So if the condo was originally like, I'll give you one example. There was a condo that they were asking $175,000 US. We ended up buying that condo for $110,000 US, and it was a 2 bedroom, 2 bathroom across the street from the water. I held on to it for 2 years. Over those 2 years, it was cash flow even. So after all of my expenses and everything, it was even. And we paid cash for this property. So it was $110,000 US cash. We paid it all in full. After all of the expenses, like maybe we made $500 a month. So like, over the years, like $6,000 net. It's nothing crazy. But that we did that for 2 years. But then on the second year, we ended up flipping that property and we sold it for 240,000. So we
And
did
is
make.
that during like the time when like, real estate was booming in Ontario and as well? Is it kind of when that whole boom was happening? Are you looking to invest in the US? Are you looking for a coach rather than a coaching program? Well, you're in luck because that's where my coaching program is completely different. It's not about just teaching you all the material. It's about like having a community of people all doing the same thing. It's about doing one-on-one calls with me to strategize, to plan, to look over deal analysis, to check markets with you. Just honestly, just to solve mistakes before they happen. If that's interest to you, you want to learn about the coaching program, or you just want to do a one-on-one call with me just for like 10 minutes, just to answer a couple questions, just to get to know me, go to my website, glensutherland.com, or at CanadianInvestingInTheUSA.com, and you can book a call right at the top. And I'd love to get on the phone with you and just even get to know everyone.
No, because we bought that condo specifically in 2022 and
Yep.
we sold it at the end of 2024.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, so it didn't really align with the markets in Ontario at all or in Canada. They're
Okay.
totally different, and we were still able to be profitable. And then the other condos that we got, like there was one that, after I sold it, all of the fees, everything, maybe I only made like $20,000. I held on to that for like a couple years. And then I do still own 3 condos, so I've only sold 2 out of the 5.
Yeah.
And the other ones are doing okay, but I think I'll probably exit out of another one soon.
Yeah.
And the goal is probably only to have like 1 or 2 properties there. I did end up buying a house also
Yeah.
in Belize, not a condo, so like no HOA fees, because the HOA fees are what kills your profitability.
Yeah.
So I did buy a house, and you'll be shocked when I tell you how much I paid for this house. So I think they wanted $80,000 US for a 2 bedroom, 1 bathroom house, and I got it for like $42,000 US.
And
So
in a $42,000 US house, was it like livable at that
yeah,
for that price? Like, because I buy houses that
absolutely.
cheap too, but they usually need massive rehabs.
No renovations needed. It was just cosmetic. So like I put in like new ceiling fans and light fixtures. And just cleaned it up. I painted the outside of the house just to make it look like a color that I liked. Did some landscaping, and that's been rented out for what do I get? About 650 to 700 US a month
That's
is what I
awesome.
get on that.
Yeah.
So that's like a little investment. That one, like I probably would keep on to, like hold on to for a long time. But if we talk about appreciation, I've had people offering in the 150 to 175,000 range, and I've only owned that for about 3 years.
That's awesome. And so, like, I know that these are some incredible like deals and numbers. Is this something like that's like common on the market, or is it part of this your negotiation skills that have got these?
It's definitely negotiation. You
Okay.
have to be able to negotiate the deals and like really see where there's the gaps in the market, because that house was only for sale for like maybe 2 days.
Yeah.
And then every other house on that block has never even been listed under 100,000.
And the other thing, like, is it because you're local that you knew about it so fast? Like, it sounds like something that we would have a massive advantage being there local. Like, do they have this might be some really dumb questions, but do they have an MLS there?
They don't have an MLS, so you have to. That's what makes it harder. So you have to really build a good network of realtors, people that you know that are working for different brokerages. You don't want to work with one agent that only works for one brokerage unless you know that they're very well networked and they can pull deals from everywhere. So A lot of new agents or newer agents, they won't have that network and they won't be pulling from, 20, 30 different brokerages. They'll only rely on like what Remax is selling or what Keller Williams is selling because there is no MLS. So the way that like my strategy personally is I go onto my laptop. I have let's say 30 favorites for different websites and I'll filter through those different 30 websites and I'll do it like every other day. I'll go through
Nice.
all 30 websites and look at every single listing that's on.
That's smart. Um, you just kept saying cash, cash, cash when we were talking about buying the land, buying the things. Is mortgages an option if you're buying in the country of Belize?
You can get mortgages. So for foreigners, there's a bank called Key International, and they will give you like a loan to value of don't quote me on this, but I believe it's between 50 and 75% of the property. It will be a higher interest rate though, like maybe 10 to 12% interest. And you'd still have to come up with at least 25 to 50% of the purchase price. Now, if you were to go to Belize, live there for, a while, a couple years like I did, and get your residency, now you're able to actually get financing for up to 95% of the value of the property. So I'm at the stage with residency where I could go and I could get a mortgage for 95% of the value of a property there now.
That's awesome. You just mentioned residency and living in Belize. So, like you just mentioned, are you in Fort Erie again? You're back in Ontario
Yeah.
anyway. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you back here to stay or do you live there? Where do you live now?
Um, well, if you were to ask me last year, I was living in Belize. So, like up until from when we had that last podcast 5 years ago, I've been living in Belize. I was living, breathing everything, the culture, my network, everything grew in Belize. And then now I have had another daughter, and she's just turned 1, and we're back here in Canada now. So I'll be back here in Canada, I think, for several years at least. But the main reason, which we haven't talked about, that I was in Belize and like I wasn't coming back to Canada was because I diverted from the condos and the single lots, and I ended up through networking, research, everything. I ended up buying multiple large acreages in Belize to build subdivisions. And that was the project I was actually working on for the last 2.5 years. And I've just completed the first subdivision. And
Awesome.
that's why I'm back in Canada, because I'm like, okay, I've gotten this big, huge project done, out of the way. We're selling all of the lots out now. The subdivision is being sold out. I think we're almost at 40% sold out. And we just started listing with Remax maybe about 6 to 8 weeks ago. And there's a lot of parcels of land in this subdivision that we're selling. So I'm gonna be here in Canada, kind of focused on stuff here for a while that project is selling out, and I'm letting the agents sell it in Belize.
Cool. What's popping into my head is just living in Belize and then coming back to Canada. I'm guessing that you didn't renounce your tax residency, so you're still paying CRA while you were down there?
Yeah, I do have to do my taxes because I didn't do them for the last year or the year before. So I'm actually working on my taxes this week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I know some people, if you had the intention of coming back, then you probably want to keep it. But I know,
Mhm.
and then even like for your like healthcare and stuff, is that a thing you have to reset up when you get back? What does that even look like?
Well, what I did was I don't know the exact rules, but I did come back like for maybe a week, like every 6 months.
Mm,
So I didn't stay there full time for years and years. I did every 6 months, I would come back for like at least a week. And I
okay.
don't know if that changed anything, but I didn't have any issues with the, healthcare or anything like that because it did show that I was coming back and forth from the country.
Okay. No, it's one of those things I'm always interested in. I'm like, wonder if
Yeah.
to like, reset stuff up or if it's just like, you leave for Belize for a year or whatever, a couple of years and you come back if have
I
to.
think I think it would be different if you had left for years at a time and hadn't come back. But I always made sure that I was here like maybe for the summer I'd come for like a couple weeks, and then during Christmas holidays I'd come for like a week or two.
Awesome. All right. So that's awesome. If you were someone who was like, hey, I like the idea of investing in Belize, what do they do? What's the steps to go do something like this?
Well, first you want to figure out like what I always ask clients, because I am a realtor in Belize. I'm also a realtor in Canada. And what I always ask my clients in either country is like, what is your ultimate goal? And then that would be how I could kind of help you make a decision on how to go about investing in Belize and what it is that you want to do. Because if your goal is just like purely lifestyle, then buying, like a single plot of land probably isn't going to do much for your lifestyle.
Right.
If you're looking at, making just money, you just want to make money and it's not a lifestyle thing, then I would push people to buy acreage and do subdivisions because the money is there. It does take 2, 3 years, but we're talking about like 20x, 10 to 20x on your investment by doing a subdivision, um, which is just crazy numbers. So that's where I would push people if they were just looking to make money. If you were looking to do just lifestyle, then I would push you into something that is, more like Airbnb, something that you can use that will cash flow, at least cover the cost, but allow you to go and travel to Belize and enjoy the islands, for several months a year or several weeks a year, whatever it is that you're able to do. So it really depends on what it is that your ultimate goal is, but the ease of actually investing in Belize is amazing because the only thing that you need as a Canadian or an American is a passport. You need a Canadian passport or an American passport. And with that, you're allowed to buy any type of property in Belize.
Awesome. And you just mentioned Airbnb a few times. Do you self-manage those, or do you have like a company that does that for you? I've heard about some places even having like, the condo itself will fill them for you and list it for you. What does that look like in for at least I don't know if it's general for Belize or just how you do it.
So there's the majority of people have in-house management. So when you're buying into these larger resorts, like let's say like the Marriott or something like that, Marriott itself is its own brand, and they just manage the condo for you. They take their revenue share and their franchise fees and their credit card fees and everything else that they take, which it is a lot, right? But
Yeah.
after they take everything, then you get the rest, but you don't do anything at all. Like it's basically like you just own a piece of this
Almost
resort
like a
and
timeshare, but
almost, yeah, it's almost like that. Actually, it's I've never owned a timeshare, but like I know for one of the condos that I have at the Marriott, they only let me use 45 days a year.
yeah.
So I'm maxed out on how many days I can use it a year. But after they take their share and everything, we still cash flow pretty well. We make over $1,000 US a month.
Yeah. And this just popped in my head. I'm jumping all over the place. But for you, when you were down there living, like, did you buy the house or did you rent a place when you were down there?
When I first went down for my very first time and I stayed for I think 3 months, I rented a place for 3 months.
Yeah.
And I would always recommend anybody to go and rent first. To first of all, you want to see if like you like the place where you're living. You want to understand the neighborhoods and the different areas. Because even though like in my case, I was living in San Pedro, it's a small island. It's only maybe 3 blocks wide,
Yeah.
but there's so many different neighborhoods, and if you just go and buy a house from a realtor, you won't know like all the neighborhoods and stuff. So it's good to like live there for a little while, get to know the neighborhoods, and then make a decision. But ultimately, I ended up buying after 3 months.
That's awesome. What else should I ask you about Belize? It's so much different things just being a completely different country.
Well, I can talk a bit more about the subdivision that we're selling right now. So
Yeah.
the project that we're selling right now is called Coastal Vista. It is not on the island of San Pedro or Ambergris Key. Sorry, it's on the mainland of Belize. So we're a short flight or boat ride from the island, but we're right along the coast on the mainland of Belize in a place called Corozal. Corozal actually borders Mexico. So you can drive to Mexico from this town, Corozal, in about 10 minutes. So
Wow.
that's where we're doing our first subdivision. The first subdivision that we bought was just under 50 acres of land, and we've now subdivided that into 164 pieces of land. We've sold out 40% of that land already, and the price right now for people that are looking to buy into that is 17,500 US, and there's a payment plan of only 10% down. So you could buy into a piece of land in Belize right now for $1,750 US and only make $250 a month payments. We do still have about 100 lots, give or take. I think there's a little bit less, but we have about that many lots left, and the this subdivision will have like electricity running down all the roads. All of the roads are already done. It's like just a minute from the water. It's a minute from town. The location's amazing. And so if you're looking to invest like into something like that, to just hold something and say, okay, like I have this piece of paradise in Belize, and you pay that off over I think it's like 6 years, the payment plan.
Yeah.
You pay that off over 6 years, and then maybe start building. We have people that are already going to start building in the next couple months in that subdivision. So that would be like an entry level kind of investment into Belize. Now, if you were to if you had more capital and you're kind of more like a risk adverse, you're okay to take a little more risk, then you'd want to look at actually acquiring these type of acreages and then going through the subdivision process. It is a lot of work, and
Yeah.
it does create a lot. It takes a lot of time to create the connections in Belize to know all of the steps, because it's not just like one step. There's probably 50 steps from the point where you buy the property to the point where you have the final approval and the engineers have come and checked the roads and they say, okay, we're going to update the mapping with all of your new parcels. There's like 50 steps in between there, and it does take like about 2.5 years. So
You find that people who are buying whatever those $17,000 lots in Belize are more interested in holding them for an appreciation, or are they more interested in building something on it? What do you find most people are?
building, building.
Yeah.
Yeah. Most people that are buying are not looking to flip it. They're looking to buy it and build something for themselves. Because right now, if you look at if you've been looking at Belize and you're looking at, hey, I'm going to invest in the islands or I'm going to invest in the mainland. Investing in the islands is going to cost you well, I don't want to say 5 times more. It'll cost you
Oh,
at least 2 or 3 times more on the island, but there's certain things that like the cost is literally 5 times more just because it's on the island. So like, like fill for your land, stuff like that. In San Pedro, a truckload of fill for your lot would be $700, and on the mainland it's $100. So there's a huge variation in the costs of building, and people on the mainland, you could build a really nice house for under $100,000 US.
that's awesome. Okay. For people that are like, Shawn, these prices are awesome. How do I do this? How do they get a hold of you? What's the best way to do it? Is there a website? Do they call you? Do they email you? What someone says, hey, I'm in. What do they do?
Okay, so I'm super active on Instagram, which is just Shawn Rea. So it's just ShawnRea. So that's my full name, Shawn Rea. So on Instagram, you can send me a message, add me on Instagram, or you can add me on Facebook. I think it says like real estate developer or something like that. So if you want to find me, and then we do have a website, coastalvistabelize.com. So you could go check out the project. The website's there with the information. It has been updated recently, but it doesn't have all of the sold lots. So you would have to reach out to me if there is like a lot that you see that you're interested in, because it might already be sold. We haven't updated all of the sold lots yet, and I think we have sold about 15 lots in the last week or two.
Yeah, honestly, it sounds like an opportunity to have like a business vacation where you go and even go check out the lots and figure out
Yeah,
which way you like the sun coming up in the morning and everything else.
exactly.
Yeah.
We just had that in February. We had an event in Belize with myself and my partner, and we met with clients from Canada and from the United States and from Belize, and we've had a lot of good feedback. We had a lot of people buy from that event. We've actually even had politicians buy into this subdivision from Belize because they love the project. So we're really excited about it.
If you're doing another one of those, post it on my Facebook group, the Canadian Investing in the US Facebook group, and I'll make sure that people know about it.
Okay, for sure. Yeah, I mean, we still have lots for sale, so I'll send you the website,
Yeah.
and if you want to just put it in there, that'd be great, because we do plan, or you could plan for everything, but it doesn't guarantee anything. But I do want to sell out this year, so my plan is to sell out this year. So hopefully we can get that achieved.
Love it. Love it. Yeah. You always set big goals, right?
You have
Love
to,
it.
yeah.
Shawn, awesome. Like always, I need to get you on the podcast a lot more often than, I think I had you on, 7 years ago and then 5 years ago, and then it's been a gap. We got to do this a little bit more often. But anyway, this was awesome. Price points are awesome. It's an English speaking country.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of people that are going to be interested in this kind of thing. Thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah, no problem. I'm glad to be on. Hopefully we don't wait 5 years for the next one.
That was a nice video. Bye.